Let's be real for a second. Raising kids? It's incredibly expensive. And diving into the legal system to get the financial support you need, that can be absolutely terrifying. But here's the hard truth we need to face right now. Every single day you delay establishing formal child support is literally money out of your child's pocket. Why? Because support is rarely, if ever, awarded retroactively before the filing date. But hey, there's actually some really good news here. New York has radically modernized the whole shebang. You can now secure your child's financial future entirely online, completely securely, and totally at your own pace.
So if you're feeling totally overwhelmed by bureaucratic hurdles, those endless mail-in forms, or just the thought of having to visit an office in person, take a breath. Consider this explainer your very own personalized coaching session. We're going to take what feels like an incredibly stressful chore and transform it into an empowering, highly manageable task. Knowing how to knock out this online application efficiently is honestly one of the most impactful things you can do for your child's well-being right now.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover child support basics and eligibility. Second, gathering your required documents. Third, the actual online application process. Fourth, what happens after you hit submit. And finally, Section 5, troubleshooting and managing your support. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, child support basics and eligibility. It's time to understand exactly what your rights are in New York State. So first things first, New York state law mandates that parents share the financial responsibility for their kids all the way until they turn 21. That's a big deal. There are a ton of misconceptions floating around out there, so let's clear the air right now. You are absolutely entitled to seek this support even if you were never married to your child's other parent. And get this, the financial capacity of the custodial parent doesn't just magically cancel out the non-custodial parent's obligation. So even if you're independently wealthy, your child is still legally entitled to support from both parents, no exceptions. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, but how on earth do they come up with the actual dollar amount? Well, it's determined by something called the Child Support Standards Act, or CSSA for short. And no, they aren't just pulling numbers out of thin air. It relies on a very strict, standardized mathematical formula based on a set percentage of both parents' combined income. But it doesn't stop there. On top of that base amount, the formula factors in a proportional share of extra add-ons. We're talking healthcare coverage, unreimbursed medical bills, and childcare costs. This guarantees the calculation is consistent and, most importantly, focused squarely on what your child actually needs. Moving right along to Section 2, gathering your required documents. Because as we all know, preparation is the absolute key to success. Honestly, I highly recommend just pausing this explainer right now and taking a quick screenshot of this checklist. Having these specific documents, your child's birth certificate, their social security number, your recent tax returns, pay stubs, and health insurance info already digitized into PDFs on your computer before you even start, it's an absolute game changer. These documents feed directly into that CSSA math we just talked about. Having them ready to go is going to save you from some massive application delays later on.
Okay, let's get to the main event, Section 3, the online application process. We need to choose your digital gateway.
So New York actually operates a bifurcated system, meaning your geographic location totally dictates your first move here. If you live within the 5 boroughs of New York City, your digital gateway is the Access HRA portal. They even have a super handy mobile app you can download. But if you live literally anywhere else in New York State, you'll be using the statewide online enrollment wizard, which you can access directly at childsupport.ny.gov/enroll. Hitting the correct portal from the get-go is going to save you so much headache, trust me. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this next feature because it is absolutely vital. The state totally recognizes that going through child support litigation can sometimes escalate domestic safety risks. So, for survivors of domestic violence, both portals have integrated active safety protocols. You can simply slam the escape key on your keyboard to instantly redirect your browser and completely obscure your child support search history. The process also includes a built-in family safety screening just to figure out if you need address confidentiality to keep you and your family safe. Here's a huge sigh of relief. You do not have to finish this massive application in one sitting. Because, we all know that's exactly when your scanner decides to randomly stop working. The system securely saves your draft for exactly 60 calendar days. If you're halfway through and realize, oops, I'm missing a pay stub or you can't find that health insurance card, you can just safely log out, go find the document, and pick up exactly where you left off. Just keep in mind, once those 60 days are up, the system permanently purges the draft for security reasons, and you'd have to start the whole thing from scratch. Once you're finally logged in, the actual workflow is pretty straightforward. Step 1, you'll authenticate your identity using an NYGov ID. Step 2, input all your detailed demographics. Quick pro tip here, triple check that you are using exact legal names and current addresses, because typos here are the most common reason for rejections. Step 3, declare your parented status. If paternity hasn't been legally established yet, you just flag it right there. Step 4, upload all those handy PDFs you prepared earlier. And finally, Step 5, give everything a comprehensive review and e-sign it. And speaking of that final signature, do not take it lightly. Typing your legal name at the very end of this digital form acts as a legally binding electronic signature. By checking that box and signing, you are officially affirming, under penalty of perjury, that every single piece of information you provided is true and correct to the best of your knowledge. All right, moving into the home stretch. Section 4, what happens after applying? Let's navigate that post-application timeline.
Hitting that final submit button usually brings this massive wave of relief, which is almost immediately followed by anxiety as you wonder, okay, but where's the money? So let's break it down. Once the family court officially issues the support order, the state sends a legal notice directly to the non-custodial parent's employer. By law, that employer has exactly 14 days to start deducting the money from the very next pay period. After payday hits, the employer gets 7 days to mail those funds to the state processing center in Albany. And once Albany gets their hands on it, it takes another 5 to 7 days to process that money straight into your account. So all in all, from the court order to your very first payment, you're realistically looking at about 2 to 4 weeks.
But there is one specific, really important exception you need to know about. If a single payment coming into the state center is $1,000 or more, the processing center is legally required to put a hold on it until the bank check fully clears. So if you're expecting a massive lump sum for retroactive support, just take a deep breath and know it's going to take slightly longer than that standard 5 to 7 day processing time.
And finally, let's look at Section 5, troubleshooting and managing support. We'll cover adjustments and enforcement. Because look, as we all know, life loves to throw curveballs, right? People lose their jobs, circumstances drastically change, or sometimes someone just flat out refuses to pay. Well, New York State has some incredibly aggressive tools to enforce willful non-payment. If a parent just decides to stop paying, the state can and will intercept their federal and state tax refunds, seize their bank accounts, report the debt directly to credit bureaus, and even suspend their New York State driver's license. On the flip side, though, if a parent genuinely loses their job or their income takes a dive, they can't just quietly stop paying. They have to proactively file a formal modification petition with the court to get that order lawfully adjusted.
Now, if you hit any roadblocks whatsoever during your application, or if you ever need to track down a missing payment in the future, this number is your absolute lifeline, 1-888-208-4485. I'll say those last digits one more time, 4485. That is the New York State Child Support Customer Service Helpline. You just call that number, plug in your personalized PIN, and you can access your specific account details and get the exact help you need.
To wrap this all up, I want you to remember that this digital portal is essentially your magic weapon. Let's recap. Your child has a rock-solid legal right to support until they turn 21. Before you do anything, gather those financial and medical documents. Pick the correct regional portal, access HRA for the city or the enrollment wizard for the rest of the state. Make sure you utilize that 60-day save feature and those vital safety exits if you ever feel unsafe. And finally, keep that 14-day employer timeline in the back of your mind so you know exactly when to expect your funds. Now, just a quick reminder. Please know that the information provided in this explainer is strictly for informational purposes. You should always consult with an experienced family law attorney to get advice that is specifically tailored to your unique personal case. With this roadmap completely laid out for you, the state's bureaucracy doesn't have to be this impossible barrier anymore. You've got the tools and you've got the knowledge. The digital doors are wide open, but here's the thing. The system will not move a single inch until you make that first click. Your child is legally entitled to this financial foundation. So the only question left for you is this: how much longer will you wait to claim the future they truly deserve?